2 years I had suffered without any lockers, and I thought my Triton was poo-poo.
If I can't do it like this, that kind of sucks.
Ooh. I've been off-roading with open diffs for 2 years. So I learnt a few techniques to help in these kinds of situations, thanks to awesome four-wheel drivers that I met on the track. So one of them is rocking back and forth. Now, thanks to having a manual, I was able to just press the clutch in and let it roll back and then drive forward and then roll back and drive forward. And eventually that momentum gets you over a shitty obstacle. But if done incorrectly, you can snap a CV. Like revving it too hard and then having those front tires suddenly gain traction and snap a CV. This is why you just give it a little bit of a blip, just enough to get over the obstacle. I was being extra careful. Another technique I learned was the poor man's locker. Essentially, use your handbrake to stop the rear tires from just spinning. Oh, and traction control, completely useless. For some reason, traction control is good for small ruts, like small loss of traction. But for these big-ass ruts, it doesn't help at all. Basically, this is what open diff is. Only one tire will actually have drive to it. The tire with the least resistance. As you can see, it takes literally no force at all to stop a tire from spinning. Whereas with the limited slip, it has like a tiny bit of roll and both spin at the same time, which partially acts like a locker. I do believe that the patrol we had a shimmed rear LSD. Like you could literally see both tires spin at the same time. And having a rear diff lock means that both of your tires spin at the same time. Anyway, it's bloody been long enough. It's about time that I actually got a rear diff lock. So I finally decided to invest in a locker. I bought the whole axle with the rear diff lock, the little ECU, and the rear diff lock button from a Wreckers. So in the Tritons, the factory rear diff lock is optional. I've heard and seen that many four-wheel drives actually have a factory rear diff lock as standard, or at least these newer ones I think. The factory diff lock is an air locker, so it works on a little air compressor that gives it like 8 psi of pressure in order to engage that actuator. So just for peace of mind, we decided to take apart the diff, and it's definitely not because we blew the internal actuator. I mean, it's better anyway to take it apart and see what's up. You never know with used parts, especially with something as sensitive as a air locker. You can hear a leak. The actuator was torn, so it leaked air. This could be because we used high pressure compressed air earlier on it, but the plastic did look very brittle. While I was at it, I also greased the wheel bearings. It's a bit of a scuffy job, but we weren't going to take it apart because there's nothing wrong with it. And, yeah, we ended up breaking a bolt. We didn't even need to take this ring gear off. We were stupid. So one of the bolts, snapped. All you need to do is chop this bearing off, and then you can just pop the actuator out. Because of all the red Loctite that's there by factory, it was such a difficult job, and it was almost as if the metal was melted to the walls of this. Even when we've basically drilled out the entire bolt, it was still stuck good. It took about 5 days just to get it out.
What a bastard.
And we almost snapped another bolt. When we were installing it, it said Tighten to 150 Newton meters. And thank fuck we didn't actually manage to do 150 Newton meters. Instead, we heard a little crack and backed off right there and decided to take it all out again and order new bolts. It's actually the same size as the front diff bolts, so you're supposed to torque them to about 85 Newton meters. In the meantime, I washed the axle housing. I made sure to sand off as much rust as I could. I rust protected it, primed it, and top coated it. It looks a lot nicer painted. And after 5 whole wasted days with the broken bolt, we have the new actuator in and it finally works. This is how it's supposed to work, fully engaged. And guess what? All of the wiring was already there. It was literally just plug and play. Plug in the little ECU, plug in the diff lock button, and plug everything in at the axle. And the glorious day. I have a fucking rear diff fucking lock, dude. Enjoy the first reaction. Finally having a locker.
It's pulling through. It's like Piggy. It's pulling through. It's pulling through with 0 effort. I'm idling. I'm still I'm idling. Oh my god. Dude. Whoa. What the fuck? What an advantage! It made all the that just went through that. Just I hate the tippiness, dude. Piggy's so much better than the tippy shit.
Solid axle is a whole lot more stable. Mostly to do with the flex that's also in the front and the rear.
Like nothing. Like nothing. Not even a wheel spin. Like I have a front locker. Wow, that's so good. I hated struggling so much before. It was just like, not even a bit of struggle. Like Piggy's had some weird spin on that.
Dude, the difference is insane. The lockers. Basically, as far as I felt from that short run, this is most definitely going to save my CVs on some of these more flexy obstacles. Because I didn't have to put any pedal at all. Like this, I can crawl over more of the obstacles. I mean, definitely still going to have issues on like uphills and stuff. Front locker will probably benefit in that situation. Look at that fucking flexy bastard! Or at least somewhat flexy. You just don't look at the front. And I would have never been able to do this hadn't I had a rear diff lock. Low range third gear up the steepest sand dune that I've ever been on.
Oh, I just made it.
But had I had an open diff in this situation, I wouldn't even make it halfway up that hill. And I really honestly thought that my vehicle was shit. It makes a massive difference just having a rear diff lock. It is a bit different in the sand, like it definitely still loses traction, like on some of the uphill parts. Really, if I didn't have the rear diff lock, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. I would have never kept up with this group. God damn those turbo flutters. Here's a clip of when I was in Wilbinga. I was actually genuinely upset wondering why I couldn't do this and the other cars could do it, and I was just like, my car must be shit. I never actually realized that is lockers, mate. Of course, it's still nothing like a solid axle vehicle. See, it does lose a bit of traction here. Uphill sand. It was interesting to see the sort of the limits, but using the same techniques that I used before with the open diff, like rocking backwards and forwards, it works super well, like way better than with an open diff. It just gets me right through. I actually didn't mention something at all. I also softened up the shockies before going on obstacles like these. Since they're adjustable shockies, that greatly aids with allowing the suspensions to articulate a little more, I guess, since it makes it super soft. I call it boat mode. But for the sand, you do the complete opposite. Instead, you harden up the shockies completely. This makes me so much more excited for future trips. And this gives me a whole lot more confidence. I fucking love the rear diff lock. Of course, it's still nothing like a solid axle vehicle. I can't imagine a solid axle vehicle twin locked. That thing would be an absolute beast. The flex aids greatly, but still having this rear diff lock is a bloody game changer. It's fucking amazing. I should have slapped one on ages ago. Would have made the Triton look a little less shit.